Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. So, I don't remember if they actually said who Blaze's mom is. I'm gonna tell you right now, I already don't like this chick. I already don't like this chick. The minute that she walked in, Christina tried to shake her hand. She just had this nasty, resting bitch face look. I really hate saying that word. I just want to go on record by saying this thing. I genuinely hate saying that. So, I try to use that word as rarely as possible, but that's what that chick was snit they're giving me. And this awkwardness between the two. And Blaze comes back in there. Christina lies about why, she was in the bed with her. And she's snit there trying to make her way out. Blaze is snit there trying to keep her to stay. I'm just like, she feels uncomfortable. Let her leave this room. And there's one point where she's talking about food or whatever and texture, and Christina decides to throw her 2 cents into a situation. You can clearly see, listen, she was already nasty before. I don't understand why you felt the need to sit there and talk about, well, she doesn't really like the texture and stuff. She's like, oh, I think I know my daughter. I'm like, this is a chick. This is the type of chick that other chicks would have no problem sitting there putting hands on. Like, dead ass serious. But then, you can tell she's about ready to sit there and come out and everything like that. So it's this big giant moment that is going to unfold tomorrow. So, but, I think she called herself Natalia, which, again, for the people who watch CSI Miami, no, her name wasn't Natalia. I think it was Natalia, Bola Vista. Anyway, I think her name was Natalia. But anyway, so yeah, that happens. Now, John comes in, the Carlys and everything like that, and they get to talking. And eventually, he introduced himself. Yeah, I'm John or whatever, John Case or whatever, FBI agent. And that's Carly's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I know exactly what this says. Yeah, we don't got anything else to talk about except for, you paying the tab at this point. They go back and forth. They get into Sonny. And, John's like, listen, I'm not here for Sonny. I mean, I will get him eventually if he does something effed up that calls me to get him. But I'm not here for him, though. I'm here to sit there and save him. But they talk about Stone, right? And granted, I wasn't watching the show back then with Stone and everything like that, but I felt the emotion with Carly, talking about, I don't understand how you want to sit there and try to lock this man away when he did so much for your brother, Guy was sick, he bought him a penthouse, he gave him the best medical care you can possibly sit there and find, he dedicated a wing to the hospital, he named his son after him. Like, god damn, I gotta sit there and say, here's the thing, even if you didn't like Sonny, you gotta sit there and respect him for that. If nothing else, you gotta respect him for that. But he tries to flag. He's like, oh well, my son name is Stone. I'm like, and that has to do with what exactly? But then he starts talking about, I guess, this woman named Karen. He doesn't say her, but he talks about that whole thing, that whole incident with Karen, her getting hooked on stuff, and all that. Which, by the way, I'm very curious what ended up happening to Karen. Because, again, I wasn't watching the show back then, right? And, of course, you had poor Charles and Karen. I know Karen was actually on the show, unless there was a different Karen. Y'all gotta sit there and let me know in the comment section, because I'm not exactly too sure about that. So, Spinelli wakes up. Maxie woke up hell early to avoid Spinelli, and then she runs back in the house. She's like, oh, I gotta sit there, I forgot this, I forgot lunchbox or whatever. She's talking really fast. She couldn't wait to dart out that place. And Spinelli's like, so you just gonna continue to just avoid me? Sonny comes in, and that's Max is like, oh, well, I gotta get to the kids or whatever. So she dips out, and Sonny's there to sit there and ask him a favor. Um, Spinelli's kind of going back and forth about it because he doesn't want to engage in the family. They talk about Jason for a little bit, which again, this is one of those things where it's like you can tell. Like let's put it this way: if Steve wasn't coming back, they wouldn't even. I don't think they would even actually had this conversation. Not this portion of the conversation about how Jason trusts him, even though he was annoying, he still trusts him. Um, it's so weird too, because it's like I'm watching Days of Our Lives, and Steve just pretty much acts like Jason at this point. Anyway, they talk about Jason, and Spinelli agrees to do it, which I don't really understand why he didn't give it to Brick. I don't get that. I mean, Brick does all the he seemed like he does everything that Spinelli does, and Spinelli was like, I haven't really worked for y'all for years. So does he just not trust Brick? Because I mean, if you said that like, yeah, I had ads, that means that you squashed and you trust them. So I don't get that, but whatever. I know it's probably a larger play, so when Steve comes back, it can have more meaning or something like that. And of course, Spinelli tells Sonny, because he's like, yeah, he when he was asking him why was he there, I think Maxie or him was just saying something about water damage, and he was like, no, I'm not. I want to sit there and help her out, financially. At some point, Maxie comes back, and they begin to start to have the conversation about the whole kiss thing. And of course, you're gonna sit there and see that more tomorrow in the series, the previews and stuff. So Drew is hitting that punching bag probably like it's Nina's face. I'm just gonna be honest. And Curtis comes in there. Curtis like, yo, Rose, what's good? So Drew starts to unload on him as far as his anger, all the stuff that wound up happening to him in jail, and blaming Nina, of course. And I'm just not there looking at this whole thing, and it's always, to me, it's always ass backwards, right? Because even with the whole PTSD and everything like that, I'm like, bro, you can go see a therapist for that, as far as that is concerned. Now, he talks about, I was away from my daughter for a while, and then I wound up being away from my daughter again. I'm like, well, the first time wasn't your choice, and we understand that. But the second time, you did choose to do that. So that's not Nina's fault, And, Curtis talks about, I don't understand why Curtis felt the need to sit there and tell him, oh, by the way, me and Portia reconnected. Like, as in we had sex. I just want to got it out there. Why was that necessary for? Like, why was that necessary for? Anyway, Curtis talks about his own stuff. The one thing I was very curious about was how did Curtis feel? How did Curtis feel knowing what Nina did? And pretty much he was like, it wasn't cool. Like, she's still my friend, but it wasn't cool what she did. I was very curious. I mean, I didn't think he was actually going to sit there and cut her off. So I'm glad that he didn't. I mean, hell, it's not like Nina has much friends, so. The hell else wound up happening? Like, what wound up happening? I'm looking right at my notes. So Nina is not there trying to get Ava to set up some sort of, like, like face-to-face with Sonny. Like, hey, why don't you sit there and say that you need him somewhere, and then I show up here. And Ava's like, yeah, I don't really know about that, because, like, we got a good thing going, and I don't want to sit there and mess up our relationship. And Nina was like, I'm sorry, what? And of course she was like, no, just, our co-parenting thing, going on. I didn't realize that Sonny still has primary custody. I mean, I know they share custody, but he still has primary custody. So she's like, I'm not effing that up. At first, she was trying to get out. She was trying to get Nina out by saying, "Hey, listen, I got an appointment." Turns out the appointment was Sonny. She talks about how she still loves him, still misses him, this, that, and the third. And there's one point where she does talk about um, when he slammed the door in her face, like it meant nothing to him. And that's my whole thing. I'm like, I don't understand how you're willing to sit there and still love somebody after they slammed the door in your face. I mean, they just treat you like garbage, and you're just like, yep, still love them. What? I just, I don't think I'm ever going to. Let's put it this way. Did I think it was interesting the pairing of Nina and Sonny? Yes, but I don't think he's worth fighting for. He's damn sure not worth dying for or getting hurt for, physically or mentally. And I'm just like, Nina, let's sit there and take a little history lesson through all Sonny's exes. And then you ask yourself, is it actually worth it being with him? You know? I mean, yeah, people sit there and see, women sit there and see he has the looks and the money and everything like that. And, he always sits there and try to keep people safe. But I'm like, his own son got shot just for being around him. Carly got shot in the head. The car bomb, that was his first wife. And all the other stuff that wound up happening, including his children getting kidnapped and everything like that. And it's like, is that really what you want? I mean, granted, I don't think that she can actually have kids, but my point is, I'm like, all that stuff, and you're sitting there saying that you want to fight this divorce? Because I'm going to be honest, you should really count that as a blessing. And this is coming from somebody who actually likes Sonny. And see, this is my whole other thing as far as, being with Blaze and stuff. Because I'm like, in the beginning, I was like, girl, you got too much on your plate. You're still running Charlie's. You're trying to open up the youth center. And you're pregnant. Right? So now you got her mother as an obstacle on top of everything else that you got to sit there and deal with. Like, that's just unnecessary stress that you got to sit there and deal with, dealing with her mom. I'm like, you sure that Blaze is actually worth all that? Like, don't get me wrong. It's not like this chick ain't fine, but, I mean, damn, even looks got limits. Not much limits, but they do got limits, though. Now, eventually, and I did forget this part, now eventually Sonny does come to pick up Ava. And that's when Nina's like, oh, so that was your appointment. And Sonny's like, so you ready to go? I'm like, damn, bro. She's like, yo, listen, I give you your time, I give you your space. You had your lawyer sit there, send me papers, and you acting like you don't have the time of day for me? And I'm like, and this is the person that you want to sit there and be fighting a divorce with? Are you kidding me? I'm like, at the very least, self-respect gotta count for something. This is just absolutely ridiculous. But he does sit there and say, Ava, why don't you go to the car, listen, if I can be at the school, cool. If not, just, go without me. And he's like, okay, you have the floor. And I'm kind of just like, what kind of arrogant ass shit is that? Like, are you serious right now? I'm like, bro, listen. The fact that he wants to, here's the thing, the fact that he was not even want to be bothered with something they're trying to work it out, or at the very least, tell you that he wanted a divorce face to face, and he has to sit there and get his lawyer to do it. That's not somebody that's not somebody who is worthy of fighting for. No one that does that is worthy of fighting for. Ever. That is absolutely effing ridiculous. Um, I feel like that's about it. I can't think of anything else, but if I missed anything, you know what to do. Come to the live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll sit there and talk about all the shows. General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, Bold and the Beautiful, and I'm actually Young and Restless, and I'm actually about to watch Bold and the Beautiful right now. All right. I'm pretty sure I probably forgot like one or two things, so we'll go over that tonight.